Welcome back to another episode of Decoded, a Lost Codex Podcast. My name is Jesse and I'm your writer, director, and narrator for the Lost Codex episodes, the lore episodes, the podcast, the reaction stuff, all that stuff. And I'm by myself today, guys. For those of you who are here because of the awesome clickbait thumbnail and title, courtesy of Jeff, our producer, let me just say that this is a podcast. So this is going to be an hour to an hour and a half long rant. So everything you see in the title, everything you see in the pictures, it's going to appear at some point in this episode, but it's a podcast, so stick around, get comfortable, grab a blanket, grab some popcorn, grab a coffee, or, you know, if you're at work or in the car, don't do any of those things, and buckle up and listen, because we're going to talk about 8.1, and a new leak, yeah, there's a new leak, that's actually just really cool. I don't think it's true, but it's really cool. So, for those of you who are not new to Decoded, we know that I usually start off the episode by talking about the weekly news, but there is nothing to talk about because our last episode was less than 3 work days ago. So, nothing really new has happened yet. But by the time you watch this, something big is going to come out probably, and you're all going to call me liars, but that's okay. Trying to get the Decoded schedule back on track here because of tornadoes and stuff, so I'm slowly bumping it earlier and earlier, and we'll get back on track eventually. But let's just dive right into the 8.1 PTR build that happened last week, guys, on Friday. A lot of stuff was data mined, and I'm going to be talking full-on spoilers, by the way. There's stuff I'm going to talk about, and there's stuff I'm not going to talk about, so if I miss something, it might be intentional. But buckle up, here we go. Let's start with our favorite old god shadow priest dagger, Xal'atath, because she is back, and not just like in a little way, but almost a bigger way than she was in Legion. Of course, now this is all broadcast text from Wowhead, and Wowhead has all the data mine text, but some of it's not in order, so we don't have the game context, right? So a lot of this is going to appear. I may say something based on a hypothesis, and it turns out it's said by another character. So let's just keep that in mind. As we rip this apart here. Here we go. Thank you to Wowhead for your awesome data mining. So when we first meet Xal'atath, she's locked up in a chest. By who? Well, apparently someone named Tanatoa locks her up, and it mentions in the text that he clicks a lot. And I assume it means he clicks when he talks. And I thought of the Mantid. In the way Nerubians talk, less Nerubians, more Crypt Lords, but Mantid have this like weird clicky sound in the background. So when it says here, Tanatoa points at his friend and makes an abrupt gesture. Tanatoa clicks in rage. Tanatoa clicks angrily. He clicks at Xal'atath. So I don't. Does he have a laser pointer? I don't know. It says he makes an odd whirring sound. So is he mechanical? Is this the first? Is this a Junker Gnome? Who knows? Watch it be a Junker Gnome. That'd be cool. Toa Tana. I keep calling him the wrong name. Actually, no. According to the text here, he's actually got 2 names: Tanatoa, or she, and then they mistype it, and it's Toa Tana. Are they 2 different people? I don't know. But he makes whirring sounds and angry clicks. I don't know what that means. But he locks up Xal'atath because Xal'atath talks to him, as she talked to us all Legion, and he's a little bit frustrated. So he locks her away, and when we uncover Xal'atath, we had decided to awaken it. It says here, Xal'atath is a fascinating weapon. I've heard tales of its exploits. A pity it now lies dormant, but anything that slumbers can be awakened. This blade is more than a dagger. It is a torch that shall light our path forward. That's not the first time we've heard that. So you go to a place called the Precipice of Oblivion there. We will use these relics to finally turn the tide with N'Zoth and his minions. The person that convinces us to find Xal'atath actually wanted to do it to empower N'Zoth's army. And from the text I gather, Wowhead says that we actually feed Naga souls to Xal'atath. And at one point in time, Xal'atath was in the possession of the Naga. I believe one of the quotes she says when you're fighting Naga as a Shadow Priest in Legion is, "It took many years for me to escape the minions of Ajara. Oh, how these fallen highborn do covet their precious trinkets, or something. She makes reference that they like to collect artifacts, and that she was once a part of their collection. So you feed her some Naga juice, and she goes, to have waited so long, I could feel his rage, his hunger. The Black Empire will rise again. So Xal'atath awakens, and there's something on Wowhead that suggests that we actually go inside the dagger itself. Kind of like how we can go in Frostmourne, we go inside the dagger, maybe? And we see her physical manifestation. We're kind of entranced. There's a lot of debuffs. Wowhead has actually found a lot of spell IDs that are used by NPC spells, and these are anything from, you know, when you're fighting a villain in a leveling zone, and that villain stuns you, and you're conveniently stunned as they get away to go be a dungeon boss. That stun spell that they use, that's all spell IDs that are found. So we're stunned. I guess we're in awe about how she looks. She says, "Hear me, N'Zoth, I bring you a gift." I don't know if that's reference to Tanatoa. Do we kill him? Or is that us? Or is it something else? In exchange, break the final seal and release me. And then, as you wish, you have chosen wisely, mortal. By coming to me, you have opened yourself a great opportunity. Your name shall be known in the Black Empire. It's probably not a good thing. We will speak again soon. Xal'atath is released from her prison. Says, I can feel this world writhing in pain beneath my feet. I can taste your fear on my tongue. You gave me this. The sword loosened our seals, but your blind trust gave me the power I needed. Good job, Shadow Priests. Good job. So let's take a look here. We got I got some visuals here on screen. By the way, if you're listening to the audio version of this, I do apologize. There are going to be some visuals, very minor, a couple visuals. You can find all these on Wowhead. I'm literally just using Wowhead's gallery. On-screen browser. So, this is Xal'atath's mortal form. She is a Void Elf. I don't think canonically, obviously she's not canonically a Void Elf, but she's taken on a mortal fleshy body that clearly is infused with the Void, which is one playable race, so that makes sense. And I'll be honest, I mean, I expected to see Xal'atath's true form one day. I didn't expect her to take on a mortal form. What's really interesting is there's some old god tongue language that she says. And of course, we can't translate it, but we can translate it. And by we, I mean Taliesin from Taliesin and Nevitel. Their recent video, they brought up the fact that her old god words, the language that it's in, is actually Welsh or Old Welsh. And Taliesin did some research, and with the help of his buddies, he was able to actually decipher what this says. And basically what it says is, he calls from the depths, our wearer has come. The big eye watches from the darkness. And then there's some other unknown parts, something about a sacrificial lamb and city's disappointment. But that's actually, that's really cool that it's Old Welsh, which is not easy to translate. It's, Welsh, you could throw words up on Google Translate and translate it to Welsh, but Old Welsh, it's, depends on the translator. I don't think Google Translator has Old Welsh. I could be wrong. Then there's a whole bunch of other datamine text. But what's really interesting is it sounds like this is from N'Zoth itself. It sounds like this is probably one of the biggest things that's going to happen in this patch. And I don't know where this is going to happen. I asked in Discord the other day, is this going to be a Shadow Priest only quest? I don't think so. I think Shadow Priests are going to have their own little flavor dialogue. But it sounds like we are present at the awakening of N'Zoth. Or at least at some part of that ritual. I think it'd be cool to see the awakening of N'Zoth as like a trailer, a cinematic trailer for 8.2 or 8.3 or 8.4, whenever we go to Nazjatar. I think the Awakening of N'Zoth would be really cool. But it sounds like we might actually see that in this scenario here. He says, or it looks like he says, "Receive now the greatest of all gifts. My dream has become your own. The circle of stars made flesh. She will show you the way. Come, come, the hour approaches when all eyes shall be opened." And then there's a whole bunch of stuff. "His eyes behold every truth, every unnumbered crime. His devoted outnumber the sands, the stars. His gaze falls upon every path. Aid your faithful servant, O mighty N'Zoth. The storm holds strength, but there is a price to be paid. Harness your fury, make your hatred as a weapon." There's a lot here. And then Xal'atath speaks directly to us, just as we all hoped. She says, "This universe opens The universe opens before me. You may want to pray our paths don't cross again. And yet, for you, I have something you never would have known to ask. A gift that you so richly deserve, my champion." Maybe this is for Shadow Priest only, because it's weird to call my holy paladin her champion. "Know that you did help to stop those paltry invasions." Almost read poultry, giant demon chickens. "And by that we have now opened the door for something bigger from Nazjatar." So good job, guys. We stopped the Legion and screwed over the world even more. There's a lot here. With some priests, actually this one looks like it's priest only. "How glorious it is to be renewed. I haven't forgotten your callous use of me in Silithus. I am glad we could spend time together again. You were always my favorite." Ah, it's a little bit creepy, but you know, considering she kills everyone else except for Natalie Celine. And then there's the last text by, looks like it's from Magni. "Another old god awakened. This does not bode well. Our world is already suffering. The wound in Silithus, the war." And I guess that begs the question, another old god awakened. Is he talking specifically about Xal'atath? Or is Xal'atath, as I just said, going to be the one to awaken N'Zoth? We know Xal'atath is at this point I'm pretty sure this mostly confirms Xal'atath is or was a fifth old god that was defeated early on, consumed by one of the larger old gods, imprisoned within the dagger. But what do you guys think? This doesn't necessarily retcon Chronicle, because there are a lot of details Chronicle doesn't expand on. But, you know, leave a comment below. What do you guys think about Xal'atath awakening? Is this the awakening of a fifth old god? To me, it's clear we're gonna fight Xal'atath at some point. I guess my plan, my idea is when and where. Is she gonna be a boss in the N'Zoth raid, and we're never gonna see her again until then? That would be disappointing. It'd be cool if like she kind of helps us. Maybe I don't know how she could help us. I don't know. This is cool though. This is big. Xal'atath awakening, free from her dagger. She's got a new Void Elf model, so now all those Xal'atath body pillows out there, now they have an actual form. Good God, I hope that's not a thing. It is now. Now that it's been said, that is the rule of the internet. I'm curious where this is going to play out in game. Is this a Chromie situation where it's just a little side thing full of lore? Is this a main quest line? Is this part of a secret? Who knows? I don't know, guys. But let's move on. Let's move on to Tyrande. Tyrande and the Night Warrior ritual. And right away, a lot of people are going to be happy about this. Tyrande is pissed at Anduin. Apparently, this is a side note. A lot of people think that the older races of the Alliance should treat Anduin like a piece of shit. To which I'll say this, and it's fair, you know, ancient Night Elves, the Draenei are even more ancient. You know, the Eridar culture is the #1 spellcaster arcane culture in the world, and their former leader, Velen, is listening to the words of a 20-year-old. right? Or 22, however old he is. He's young. So people think that they should treat Anduin like, why is a kid leading the Alliance? Why isn't Tyrande or Velen? And that's the whole point of Anduin's leadership, is he listens to the advice of his council, right? And he's never once dismissed Tyrande or Malfurion or Velen or Gen. He embraces... Now, he will say, you know, when Velen agrees with him about the Forsaken in Before the Storm, Gen slams his hands on the table and is like, this is stupid. And he's like, that's great. I don't care. I'm confident in my decision right now. You can be angry. And people were saying that was a bad choice of Anduin's leadership. It's like, okay, but listening to your council, that's the whole point, is listening, but making your own decisions. And I think having a young leader surrounded by ancient advisors is one of the best situations, because Anduin, as a young mortal king, Anduin's way of thinking is not going to be the same way of thinking that they're going to have. They're a lot more older, a lot more experienced, but can they put themselves in the shoes of Anduin as the leader of his people, as a mortal race, as a short-lived... He's going to be around for only a couple of decades, and then he's gone. Unless he gets Lightforged. Probably. Plot armor. I don't think it's a bad thing that a human leads the Alliance, so long as he doesn't ignore the counsel of his advisors. And I think that's where the Cataclysm was a little bit shaky with the Alliance, in that Varian's return, the whole world going to hell, the Alliance was a little bit fractured, you know, like, to a degree. There was hostility between Gilneas and Storm. I'm going off on a rant here. I just don't think that Anduin deserves all the shit that he's getting from the fan base because things that are going wrong. He's not dismissing the other leaders. He's not throwing them under the table. If he did, that'd be interesting to see. I'd love to see conflict within the Alliance, and it looks like there's going to be some. Tyranda's pissed at Anduin, and she says, what of the countless dead of the families that will never be whole again? The Caldori have been loyal to the Alliance. Are we now left to fend for ourselves? To which Anduin makes a valid point and says, I'm sorry, Tyrande, but the war efforts in both Arathi and Zandalar, the Alliance cannot afford to commit any forces to Darkshore. Remember, their fleets are decimated. They have the Kultiris fleet, yes, but the Alliance fleets were screwed up with the Legion invasion. That was key. That was of key importance in the short stories, was the Alliance and Horde fleets are garbage because of the Legion invasion. And then Anduin says, and I promise that we will reclaim it before the war is over. To which Tyrande says, need I remind you that the Caldori are part of the Alliance? Every moment that the Horde occupies our home is a twist of the knife. I have lived for over 10,000 years, King Anduin. Or Kind Anduin. I don't know if she's calling him Kind or King. I have seen enough of war to know that it is never truly over. To which then she storms out. Tyrande, Anduin says, Tyrande, wait. She goes, I am done waiting. I will purge the Horde from Darkshore with or without the Alliance. Tyrande left for Darkshore ahead of our army. She intends to wrest it from the Horde herself. To which Anduin turns to Gen and says, you said nothing, Gen. What more could I have done? Gen says, the Night Elves saved my people from our curse. Gave us refuge in Darnassus. Countless Gilneans died when it fell, boy. I nearly lost Mia. Some goblin explosives. What? That seems like an inappropriate text. Anyway, I won't let them endure the same fate we have. The Worgen will fight by their side. So Gen's actually siding with Tyrande, going, we can't abandon them. And I don't think Anduin's abandoning the Night Elves. You know, he gave them shelter in Stormwind. He tried to save as many as he could. Again, if you didn't read the short story, sounds like I'm saying a bunch of bullshit. Read the short story. Anduin did everything he could. And he does have a point. You know, how many fronts can you fight on? How many... Arathi is clearly an Alliance Stormwind 7th Legion front. So where else, you know, how many Zandalar, Kultiras, and Arathi? How many battles can you know, that's all kind of, if you look at a global map, that's all one area to a degree. Zandalar, Kultiras, and then you just stretch upwards to Arathi. Darkshore's on the other side of the world, and on a Horde-dominated continent. That's a lot. But Tyranda's also right. You know, the Horde decimated the Night Elf forces in Ashenvale and Darkshore. And thousands of children and innocents died in Teldrassil. Remember that. It wasn't full of soldiers. It wasn't a Theramore bombing of soldiers. It was children and refugees who went up in flames. And at this point, the Night Elves have lost everything. And the Horde just still sits and controls Darkshore. Which is probably why Tyrande goes to get the ritual to become the Night Warrior. We learn that the Night Warrior ritual is actually pretty dangerous. Maiev tells us that who is the Night Warrior? She's the incarnation of Elun's wrath. Even witnessing the ritual to become her would put our lives at risk. She then makes a comment, Elun, was she watching over us as Teldrassil burned? We must not lose faith in the goddess, that is what the Horde wants. Legend says that long ago Elun bestowed her fury upon the greatest warriors to secure Kalimdor. None who attempted the ritual since have survived. Elun's raw power tears them apart. So you try to stop Tyrande. I'm assuming it works because we've seen the model, we've seen her eyes. To which then, long story short, Tyrande and you chase after the Horde, and apparently Nathanos mocks you because that's what he does professionally. But then he almost dies. Apparently, the Horde loses a Valkyr. One of the Valkyr actually sacrificed herself to save Nathanos. She says, you already lost a Valkyr, Blightcaller. Is the Banshee too blind to see that she's lost Darkshore as well? To which Nathanos... I don't know if he's talking to her or Malfurion, because there's this next line. You will not speak ill of my queen, or I will clip your wings myself. Now, Malfurion has wings. Does Tyrande get really cool wings? Is that a thing we haven't seen yet? That would be cool. I'd be okay with that. I'm pretty sure he's talking about Malfurion, but that'd be pretty cool. So it sounds like the Horde lost Darkshore as well. It sounds like, because, and I'll bring this up later, the end text for the Siege of Zul'dazar involving Sylvanas is, the Alliance is within victory. They are winning on all fronts, which means Arathi, which means Darkshore, and now the Siege of Zul'dazar. So I'm curious at which point is there going to be a Horde victory. Now, as a Horde player, the Horde gets a lot of victory, so I'm okay not getting its victories. You know, the internal conflict and losing, that's kind of double-sided on, man, this sucks to be Horde, but it's kind of cool to be fighting internally, you know, and a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, why can't everyone just follow Sylvanas? Well, that's what you get when you burn down a world tree and set orphanages on fire. Let's move on to our old friend Tsar Fang, who escapes Alliance custody. Doesn't say how. Does Anduin set him free? He wants to talk to Anduin, and then he escapes. So, you do the math. The Horde track him down with a Dark Ranger and a bunch of forces from Sylvanas. Zappy Boy shows up at some point. Was he looking for him? Was he with you? I don't know. Helps the Horde player find him without the Dark Ranger, but the Dark Ranger finds you. She actually tells you and Zakan to step aside. She says, like, move. This doesn't concern you. This doesn't need to involve you in any kind of way. To which, she says, Tsar Fang, you know, come out of your hut. What does she say? She has a really good line here. Varrock Tsar Fang, you are guilty of treason against the Dark Lady. Exit the hut, or I will burn it down. Like that tree your Alliance friends loved so dearly. Wow. Wow. People say the Forsaken aren't the villains. Champion, you and that troll need to stay out of this. My orders come from the War Chief herself. Zappy Boy then says, and what orders might those be? Or maybe Tsar Fang says that. You turned your back on your duty to the Horde, Tsar Fang, and worse, after you abandoned your people, you conspired with humans against your War Chief. Is that the moment where he wants to talk to Anduin? I feel like we're missing something here. You will throw down your weapon at once, or come with us, or you will die here in the swamp alone. Tsar Fang is Shrek. Zappy Boy says, not alone. If it be the lowest will that I fall here, then it's going to be together, as the Horde. Zappy Boy being all good. I see you still not learned to fear impossible odds, my young friend. It is an honor to stand at your side. At this point, I'm assuming we stand with Tsar Fang, considering if we didn't, this is where we would die. Enough of your prattling Dark Ranger. If you seek a fight, you shall have it. For the honor of the Horde, Loktarogar, kill the traitor and all who stand with him. So this is blatantly Dagger in the Dark 2.0, where we go in with Vol'jin and the Kor'kron. A little bit different, though, because I will say, Vol'jin did go in there with orders and still disobeyed the orders. I suppose going in with the Dark Rangers and then siding with a traitor, I suppose that is the same thing. But obviously the Horde player survives, to which Tsar Fang tells the Horde player and Zakan to go back to Orgrimmar to earn the Banshee Queen's favor. He then beats the shit out of you, so it looks like you fought him, or he beats the shit out of Zappy Boy. I can't really tell. And then Sylvanas calls you on your crap. She says, "Let me see if I have this right. Tsar Fang single-handedly slew my elite forces and a veteran Dark Ranger. How fortunate that you escaped with little more than a bruise. Fortunate, but disappointing. Let me be perfectly clear. You will find that traitor Tsar Fang. You will deliver him to me, and you will not fail me again. Now go. Remember your duty to the Horde. We have a war to win." So she does believe you, but this is Dagger in the Dark 2.0, guys. This is Vol'jin killing the Kor'kron, getting a knife in the throat, and then you making a pact with Vol'jin again. And this is interesting, because this is technically the second time Tsar Fang has abandoned his blood oath. First time would have been when he disobeyed Garrosh, and a little noteworthy piece of information about the blood oath is the blood oath is sworn to the war chief, the mantle of war chief, not to individual people. In the Horde, in Orcish culture, if you do not like who your leader is, you challenge them to Mak'gora. You don't betray them. And so Tsar Fang wasn't really around during Garrosh's bullshit days with the Darkspear. Pretty sure he's still up in Northrend at that point, and then at some point he gets a phone call from Thrall after Vol'jin's been stabbed, and he's like, "Alright, I'll come down." And then he sides with Thrall, as we know. So this is the second time he's done that, but at least this time he says, in Stormwind Stockades, make sure you know the difference between doing what is honorable or what is right. I forget the quote. There's probably a Dumbledore quote as well. Tsar Fang is Dumbledore, confirmed. I'm really curious to see where this goes. I don't have a problem with a Siege of Orgrimmar 2.0 as long as it's not a copy and paste of the story. And so far, it hasn't been a copy and paste of the story, except for this scenario. I will say that the burning of Teldrassil, a little bit different than the bombing of Theramore. The atrocity is the same. The context is different. The outcome is different. The aftermath is different. And the leader is different. But I will say this scenario is pretty close to Dagger in the Dark. And that's not a bad thing. People are going to say, it's copy and paste. But no, it's not. Shut up. Let's move on. Siege of Zul'dazar. Okay, so there's a lot here. Xal'atath, why are you still on screen, girl? Get out of here. Get out of here. Oh, no. Hang on, I can't get rid of her yet. We've got here. I'm gonna show you Zappy Boy's model. This is not related. This is just Jesse being Jesse. So here's Zappy Boy. This is his model in game. Look familiar? He might. That's Master Gadrin's model. If you did the Vol'jin questline with Talanji and you brought the urn to that one dungeon up in Zul'dazar, King's Rest? King's Rest. No, Teldrassil. This is the guy that carries it. This is also Zappy Boy's model. Could be a placeholder. I doubt it. I don't think Zakan is going to get a custom model. Everyone wants him to get a custom model, but if he gets a custom model before Lor'themar, before Mekkatorques, before Moira, the Council of Three Hammers, everyone, that's a little disappointing. So this is Zappy Boy, and you might say, aside from looking like exactly copy and pasted from Master Gadrin, who is a witch doctor in Sen'jin Village, he looks incredibly outdated, right? Like, nice transmog. Is this Classic WoW? This is what everyone looks like in Classic. Before 6 people close the video in rage. So I made a secondary transmog. This is my interpretation. Move, Jesse. This is my interpretation of what Zappy Boy should look like. I used the model from the trailer and Old Soldier. And I think this is way more closer. Now, I don't have a comparison picture, so if you go to Lost Codex Twitter, you will see that I posted this picture and another transmog picture. I'll show that later on. But I think that, you know, using models where there's 8 pixels, I come on. Blizzard, if you're listening, come on. We're in the year 2018. Let's not use models that are older than time itself. Let's just keep Zappy Boy there for a second. All right, moving on. Siege of Zul'dazar, big stuff. Very briefly going to cover it. All this stuff is on Wowhead, by the way. Links are below. Wowhead has all this stuff, different pages. They break it down, nice little articles, easy to digest. The Alliance tries to attack through Nazmir. They mentioned the Blood Gates. The Horde says the Kull Tiras fleet is off the coast. What were the Alliance trying to attack us through Nazmir? It's a desperate move. Trying to see. Apparently the Alliance wiped out a lot of blood trolls. I guess this is the War Campaign 2.0. This is going to be another quest. This is not related at all to the raid. I think this is the build-up of the raid. This is guaranteed to be the build-up of the raid, but I don't think... I don't think that this is actually part of the raid itself, considering the raid itself comes from southern Zul'dazar. Like, I believe they start on the docks, while Horde starts in the northeast, I think? No, northwest. Directions are hard. The Alliance tries to scope out the treasury. Our friend Ladis mentioned that Matthias Shaw is somehow involved in the treasury. Not important. I'm going through all this stuff. I'm trying to get to the juicy details. The Alliance arrives at the Dazalor Pyramid. As you work your way up, the Horde is waiting for the Alliance. There's mention of an Iron Star, so we're going to see some Iron Horde doing some stuff, which is kind of cool. I was hoping to see some Gron, considering they brought some through. In that scenario, by the way, which I still haven't done, they brought through like 4 Battle Gron or 3 Battle Gron with the giant cannons on their back. Canonically, there's probably more. There's probably like dozens. Maybe there's only 3. Who knows? Or they go to Outland and find some more and strap some cannons on their back. The Horde finds... So apparently the Alliance beats up King Grong, who is a giant gorilla, and kills him. In the Horde side of the raid, the Horde finds King Grong's... No, other way around. The Horde finds King Grong, kills him. I don't really... In the fight, in the PTR, there's some of the NPCs in King Grong's fight are like gnomish airplanes, clearly relevant to King Kong. So I guess the Alliance have him captive or imprisoned or something. It says, to demonstrate our capabilities, we prepared a little, or shall I say, big surprise for you. Champions, deal with that overgrown distraction. Rokon, come with me. Don't you be a lazy now, Apemon. Get up and show... Okay, so the Horde kill King Gron. And then in the Alliance version, the Alliance find King Gron's body, to which Bwansamdi then resurrects him and you fight an undead King Grong. And it's like his flesh is missing because clearly the Horde totally butcher him. Which is kind of cool. You know, it's the same fight, it's the same boss, just blatantly different models. Jaina and Nathanos meet up, they have a conversation, that's cool. Someone reports the Alliance attack in Zul'dazar, so it sounds like there's a lot of chaos going on all over the place, and I think a lot of the Horde storyline happens on the Alliance side. We hear it through NPCs that are screaming and directing orders, which is cool because while you're on one side of the city, there are Horde forces on the other side of the city doing something that you may not know about, but you're going to see that when you play the Alliance side. Blizzard did confirm that after you've done the 3 neutral bosses and then the 3 faction bosses, afterwards you can then go to the Alliance bosses in like a flashback. I assume they will give you some sort of orb of transformation to make you look like an Alliance, since attacking King Rastakhan on your orc would be a little bit weird. There's a battle with Jaina, but she survives the battle. Yet Proudmoore manages to escape with her wretched life. The word wretched. That's probably Nathanos. He loves that word. Still, you made the Alliance bleed. Gather your strength, heroes. We're going to talk about Gallywix and Mekkatorques in a second here. The Alliance retreats. The 7th Legion fought bravely to get us out of there. The Horde forces were relentless, bloodthirsty. But the Kultiris forces weren't backing down. The Sea Priests did their job. It was a sight to behold. They summoned this giant monster, Luminaria. Kind of looks like the Wrath of Azshara. The champions of the Horde boarded the Zandalari ship and came after us. So I guess that's where they fight Jaina out at sea. That's pretty cool. Someone asks King Rastakhan to surrender. It doesn't say who. King Rastakhan of Zandalar, on behalf of the Alliance and in the name of King Anduin Wrynn, so it's not King Anduin, unless he talks about himself in third person, I hereby request your surrender. Actually, I think that this would be Gen saying this, because... Yes, this is definitely Gen saying this, because Rastakhan says, you, an exile without a homeland. Can't be Jaina anymore. Tyrande, maybe? Probably not. You dare invade these sacred halls and demand that I turn my kingdom over to you? The Zandalari built an empire that would endure for over 10,000 years, while your barbaric ancestors scuffled in the dirt. Okay, so that's definitely, again, calling early humans barbarians. That's a little bit double-sided, Rastakhan. I'm just saying. We civilized this world. That's also debatable. We conquered it. True. And once again, you savages seek to undermine our greatness. Trolls calling other races savages. I like the Zandalari, but... Really? No, I will not surrender, because no matter what happens here today, Zandalar will stand long after your alliance has crumbled to dust. And then you fight him. And you kill him. Spoilers. Talanji, thank you for coming. Zul'dazar is still reeling from the Alliance attack. The faith of my people has been shaken, as has my own. I, too, know the pain of losing a father. Is there anything I can do? Please do not hesitate to ask. I don't know who she's talking to about that. That's definitely Bane. She's talking to Bane. My queen, reports are coming in. The Alliance is tightening its grip. Victory is within their grasp. So then we have Anduin reflecting on... Okay, so... Mekkatorques and Gallywix fight, and it's actually pretty funny. There's a lot of little funny things. We're going to show the Alliance what Goblin technology can do, explode, and by that I mean we're going to blow up a whole lot of them. You better hang on because this thing is going to jet. It's fueled by Azerite, baby. Hold on, I think it's going in fast. And then we've got here's a whole bunch of insults that they throw at each other. I'm trying to find them here. Gallywix calls Mekkatorques the High Stinker. Your band of murderers ain't going anywhere. Still can't forgive what they did to my beautiful money golem, so Money golem, I guess that's the treasure guardian? That's really weird that Gallywix calls it his. You plan to stop me with gaudy shambles you call a flight suit? Were you planning to sparkle me to death? You think you're better than me? You think you're better than me? Let's go, Tinker Boy. Slap all the gold and glitter you want, your inventions are still cut-rate trash. Damn! Mekkatorques' fight is... sounds like it's on a ship, and Mekkatorques in his suit. To which point, as you bring Mekkatorques to 1% health, something in his suit happens where he's preserved. His injuries, he's frozen. His suit then ejects an escape pod, and the escape pod flies away. Mekkatorques says, what the... Okay, I want to know two things. First, how could you let that pipsqueak get away? And second, then he screams, why don't I have an escape pod like that? Enough, that's one Alliance hero down, but I want your blade soaked in Proudmoore blood. Then you go fight Jaina. Jaina explains later that she can't bring Mekkatorques back. Jaina, was there nothing you could do for the High Tinker? No, I'm sorry. The mechanism used to freeze his body is unlike any of the magic I know. Anduin, is there nothing the light can do? No, we tried. We did have a victory despite the cost. I should celebrate with the others, and yet... I think I understand. So, it sounds like Mekkatorques, like, dead. Or frozen dead. Preserved. Cryogenically locked away. A victory, but at what cost to the Alliance? High Tinker Mekkatorques and so many other lives have been lost. Rastakhan died in the fighting. It was not our intent, but it happened. We must now deal with the repercussions. Interesting. It wasn't the Alliance's intent to kill Rastakhan? I guess they did ask for a surrender. There's mention here about a wedge. They want to put a wedge between. Anduin reflects on the Zandalar's allegiance after the siege. He was a casualty of war, Anduin. It was always a possibility. A good king stands with his people, even if he may lose. I think that's probably Gen saying that. We had hoped to drive a wedge between the Horde and the Zandalari. This may have been driven them into joining the Horde. If they did not hate us before, they will now. More than half of the Zandalari fleet was destroyed in the initial strike. That's huge. Because the whole reason the Horde joined the Zandalari, or the Zandalari joined the Horde, is because the Horde wants their fleet. The remaining ships cannot hope to stand against the Kultiris fleet. The Horde fleet is not on much better footing. We should strike hard while they are weakest, this is definitely Gen, before there is time for them to recover, when their hope is failing. Gen reflects on Sylvanas. Are we any better than the Horde then? Is that the cost of our victory? To which Anduin again says, their queen would do it. I have no wish to be like Sylvanas Windrunner. Do you, Gen? He says, with angry growling, no. If victory is assured, as you say, then we will achieve it, but we need to be wary of retaliation. And there's a Kalia name drop. That's pretty big. It is good to have you back with us, Auntie. He calls Jaina Auntie, which is a throwback to the old books. Thank you, Anduin. I have heard rumors about an old friend of mine, Kalia, that I'm not certain I can explain it, but I'll tell you what I know. Let's go inside and you can tell me. So, of course, the conversation happens off screen. Damn it, Blizzard. I really wanted to see that conversation. Rastakhan dies, Mekkatorques dies. The Horde now have secured the Zandalari. Now, some might argue, okay, no, Jesse, the Horde clearly had the Zandalari support since the Alliance attacked Zul'dazar, captured Princess Talanji. But keep in mind that Zandalar has had like a shaky relationship with the whole world, right? In vanilla, they called for the help of Horde and Alliance heroes. And then in Cataclysm, they decided to try and resurrect the dead empires of Zul'Aman and Zul'Gurub, which didn't go well. And then they decided to, or half of them decided to join up with the Throne of Thunder, rising empire Lei Shen. And the Horde has been on the, the good side and the bad side of the Zandalari. Same with the Alliance. The Alliance, of course, tips the scales when you do capture their princess and do capture their clearly evil prophet, and then settle 3 outposts on their home and attack the Zandalari fleet. That's obviously a sign of aggression. But it's interesting that they didn't expect Rastakhan. Well, so what do they expect? Just Rastakhan to give up his empire, and then Alliance are going to fly there? Like, that just seems really... Like, did they go in there to just remove the Horde, and then Anduin's going to be like, nah, we're cool. We're cool, Rastakhan. Here's how you become a paladin, by the way. Now you have Alliance Zandalari paladins. It seems weird that they're surprised Rastakhan and so many die. But the Siege of Zul'dazar is blatantly an Alliance victory. It is the Alliance go in there, take names, and leave. Leave the Zandalari fleet in ruins. There's mention of some Loa bosses, so do they kill the Loa? I doubt it. Maybe. They kill a gorilla, so that's sad, I guess. And then Mekkatorques. Mekkatorques situation, to me, this is confirmation for Junker Gnomes. We are less than 4 weeks away from BlizzCon, guys, to which I think we're going to see Junker Gnomes up on screen announced as an allied race. If not an allied race, no, it's an allied race. It has to be. There's enough evidence in the files and everything. And the big question was, who's going to lead the Junker Gnomes? Well, clearly, Mekkatorques is going to be the racial leader of both Gnomes and the Junker Gnomes. He's going to become part cyborg. It's a throwback to Mimiron's story, how Mimiron was blown up by Loken, and then his little servants saved him and made him a new body. So maybe they do kind of a half and half. They give him a half mech body, which would be amazing. Just straight amazing. Mekkatorques can't die here. He's the only gnome character with substantial lore. And to kill him here is really weird. But to freeze him and give him a cliffhanger ending, that's also very weird. So there's clearly plans. It's not going to be like he freezes here and then 8.2, oh yeah, he died in the ice block, he's gone forever. No, something's happening with him. The big joke is he'll wake up as Azeroth's second speaker in 4 expansions from now, kind of like Magni. This is actually unlike any raid that I can recall in WoW's history, where it's a blatant one-sided victory. You know, I guess the Horde can say that we almost killed Mekkatorques, kind of. They do chase after the Sea Priests, and then there's a Dark Iron boss, a Dark Iron Paladin boss, who doesn't have any impact. So, this is, there's a lot of mention of Bwansamdi in the city, and Talanji even makes a comment of the magic around Zul'dazar. So clearly Bwansamdi is going to be, maybe the skybox is different, maybe all the fires are silvery and white. This is Bwansamdi's city now, so I'm curious to see how that affects Zandalar in the future. Will there be a phased Zul'dazar after the raid with some rubble and some destroyed fleets and stuff like that? That would be cool, and then maybe it gets fixed up as the expansion goes on, kind of thing. That would be actually really cool to see. This is a huge patch. There is so much going on in this patch, and I feel like people say that Blizzard panicked with launching 8.1 so early. It's like, no, they didn't. 7.1 was announced before the 7.0 expansion went live. People expected 8.1 to be all BlizzCon news. I expected 8.1 to be out by BlizzCon. That's clearly not going to happen. But I expected 8.1 to be out by BlizzCon, if not on the PTR. So to me, it's clear that in a couple weeks from now, on stage, Ian is going to come out and he's going to talk about the future of Battle for Azeroth. Hopefully with some Azerite armor changes, because that's a hot topic. But specifically, I think 8.1.5, maybe, if that's going to be a thing. Definitely 8.2. I definitely think 8.2, they're going to talk about more. Definitely going to see, they're going to probably announce 2 allied races, if not more. So there's a lot coming in the future, guys. Now, you clicked on this link on this video because the thumbnail and the title suggested there's a leak. And there's another leak, guys. There is. This is taken from a Reddit thread. You might say, oh, great, Reddit. But it's from MO Champion on Reddit, which means it's double confirmed. The very top of the post is, I managed to take a look at a thread on MMO's general discussion forum that was called Scenario Spoiler and was translated from another language. It contained a lot of heavy plot spoilers. When I refreshed the thread, it was already deleted. The outline contained a lot of information that would make sense of the currently existing mysteries, datamine stuff for future patches, and random stuff going back to Legion. The end of the post, before I read everything, the end of the post, someone on MMO claims he knows the mods deleted the thread via Blizzard's request. Now, this could be the typical, my dad works for Blizzard and therefore I know it's true kind of thing. Blizzard has deleted or requested certain sites to delete leaks before, in the past. There's nothing suggesting that this is the case here, except for the guy saying, I know someone who knows the mods, that claims Blizzard requested this to be deleted. So again, take this with all a million grains of salt. There's a lot of salt out there. You can farm it on Azerite. Let's go. Let's read what's going on. First one. Moizala. I've brought up Moizala before. For those who don't know who Moizala is, he's another Loa of death called the Son of Time. Son of Time, that's important. Moizala, he's Son of Time. He's in the Traveler book, the kids book. And he's actually, his name's been dropped in Zul'Farrak years ago. And he's actually got a little shrine in Zandalar in the Faraki area, in Zul'dazar. And it sounds like he's another Loa of death. he's really scary in the Traveler series. Like he's referred to as this big, there's a lot of scary elements to him, but he's very vaguely mentioned. While Bwonsamdi is globally worshipped by trolls, so you could say that Muizala is the lesser death god. But what if there's something else going on here? According to this leak, Muizala is the name for Mirazond, the future corrupted version of Nozdormu. That's why he's also associated with Time, son of Time, and why he, as a supposed Loa, is so powerful. And they do talk about the color palette of Muizala being dark gray and a shapeless mass. Is the same color as the Infinite Dragon. So Son of Time really confused me for a Death Loa. Son of Time, and he was called Son of Time before this leak. So, maybe. Muizala Mirazond wants Azeroth to become a Death Titan. Pretty sure Pyromancer just got really excited. Instead of a Void Titan. Remember, Mirazond talking about the true End Time back in End Times. So the old gods and the Void Lords want our baby Azeroth to become a Void Titan. If she does become a Void Titan, it's game over. Muizala wants Azeroth to become a Death Titan. And there's some evidence to suggest that Argus was a Death Titan, as opposed to an Arcane Titan or a Life Titan. This gets really random. Kel'Thuzad works for him. And he was the one tricking Vol'jin into appointing Sylvanas. Okay. And so there's a lot of... and let's talk about why leaks are so effective. You take existing factors, right? So Muizala is a shrine in Zul'dazar. Why? Well, because it's A, connected to Zul'Farrak, and B, mentioned in the Chronicle series, or Traveler series, sorry. So you take that little unknown factoid. Let's take some mention of, we haven't seen Nozdormu in a while. Who's the one that's been tricking Vol'jin, as I said in last week's episode? Vol'jin doesn't know who tricked him. It wasn't the Lich King, it wasn't Bwonsamdi, it wasn't Aegir. Someone wanted Sylvanas in charge, and it wasn't the Loa. Who was it? Taking all these mysteries, and then you put in a random leak. And that's why leaks work so well. You take all these existing factoids about Kalia becoming a Lightforged. Oh, that means it's a Lightforged allied race. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming that's really true, and then there's random fake leaks between, and that's what this seems like to me. Here's something really weird. Uther brought Vol'jin back. Remember, his tomb was updated. No. Uther brought Vol'jin back. Right away, that's like proof that that's the weirdest part about the leak. Watch at BlizzCon, I'm wrong. Vol'jin is brought back by the power of Uther. I will film my reaction for that. Sylvanas hired the assassins to try to kill Tsar Fang. That's true in the 8.1 scenario. He escapes and duels Sylvanas, but they are getting interrupted by an Alliance attack, which leads to the Baron's battlefront. See, at this point, a Baron's battlefront seems a little bit weird, considering Anduin doesn't want to do Darkshore. But, alright. Later, Lor'themar sets up a trap for the Alliance leaders by feigning negotiations. I would love this to be true. That is so... I want Lor'themar to come back. Lor'themar was the biggest nobody in lore. He had a cool short story in Cataclysm. Nobody, as we know from the Boom Diata song, My Name is Lor'themar. Who? And then Miss Pandaria, he got the true spotlight he deserved in one tiny little patch. And then Dave Kozak went to the Hearthstone team and everyone forgot about Lor'themar. I want Lor'themar to come back, and feigning negotiations with the Alliance, or even intentional negotiations, and something goes wrong and it turns into an ambush, that would be so cool. I also want it to happen because of this next part. Or no, not this next part, but Gen saves Anduin's life by taking an arrow and dies. Like his son. Anduin is seriously mad and marches the Alliance towards Silvermoon. Again, I want Silvermoon Warfront to happen. That would be amazing. The Horde army lands in Westfall and uses the opportunity to start a Westfall Warfront. Gotta save those Defias. No, we don't really know the state of Westfall. It's technically the Alliance breadbasket, but I assume Anduin's funneled money towards there. I assume. I don't know. Ebonhorn from High Mountain tells Anduin about Muizala and tells him to find Rathian on the Dragon Isles, who works to counter Moizala. Remember, the Dragon Isles were mentioned for the first time ever recently. And Blizzard promised, there was that Blizzard promise of more dragon content than ever. And there was the Datamine Dragon Isles map. I think Mr. GM covered it. So this could be an example. Datamine Dragon Isles map. Blizzard mentioning more dragons than ever. And then someone going, yes, Moizala and Ebonhorn are related, and Rathian. And see, this is an example of connecting leaks. Or this could be all true. The Alliance conquers Silvermoon. Ooh, that juicy. And the Sunwell gets turned into a Darkwell. I don't know what you expected. The Moonwell doesn't work. Voidwell sounds dumb. Darkwell, sure. Major twist: the Horde conquers and destroys Stormwind. Final 2 expansion raids are Stormwind for the Horde and Silvermoon for the Alliance. Expansion ends with Alliance controlling Eastern Kingdoms and Horde taking Kalimdor completely. Undead get a new city in Kalimdor. The charred remains of Teldrassil? Like, where would they go? Some stuff about who canonically wins the Warfront and which characters in them die and survive. I want this to be true. I want Blizzard to come out and say, okay, who survived and who died in the Warfronts? Tyrande becomes a champion of Elune, taking 8.1 information. Malfurion becomes a champion of Malorn. A little bit fitting, considering Elune and Malorn are supposed to be the parents of Cenarius. Parents, mythos, whatever. Together they hunt down and mutilate, but not kill, Nathanos Blightcaller to send a message. I want to say they mutilate him because he gets away, but okay. Some stuff I can't remember, including some stuff about Rathian teaming up with several lore characters. That's just the most vague. Yeah, Rathian does stuff. Interesting. Chromie appears and betrays the heroes to Murazon, and the Infinite Dragonflight gets them stuck in time. That would explain her random scenario in Legion, as well as why it was hinted that the player character himself was involved with trying to kill Chromie, as well as Rathian's random appearance. Someone on MMO, and then there's the... now, it might still be a fake. Still very entertaining and surprising. The 2 big question marks for me are no mention of Azshara and N'Zoth, and the confirmed Azshara raid, as well as no mentions of the ultimate outcome of Zul'dazar, but on somebody's deal with Rastakhan, damage to the city, and second, capital cities changing hands, getting destroyed, which could mean serious work for Blizzard. Now, here is where I think this could be going. Stormwind gets destroyed. Let's just entertain that idea for a second. Okay, let's just entertain the idea that Stormwind gets destroyed in the final raid. That's big. How do you destroy the biggest Alliance city? Like, not size-wise, not model-wise, but like where everything is. The Cataclysm portal hubs, all the quests there. And my idea is, what if it's setting up for a different kind of global rework for 9.0? What if this is actually a faction expansion and Azshara's presence is everywhere? Her raid is a mini raid, but she doesn't die, she escapes. And this isn't the Void, Old Gods, whatever you want to call it, expansion. And in 9.0, they rework a lot of it. So, the end of the Stormwind raid, you can enter Stormwind in 2 ways. The phased current lore way, where it's destroyed, or the non-phased way, which is where level 1 humans would go when they go through Elwynn Forest. And then, when 9.0's pre-patch drops, Stormwind is updated fully. There is no more phased version. Blizzard, that would basically, to destroy a city, capital city for the Alliance and for the Horde in a patch, that's a lot. But when they have an entire 2 years, basically let's assume next BlizzCon is the announcement for 9.0. Okay, BlizzCon 2019, hype. 15-year anniversary for World of Warcraft. It lines up with the 9.0 announcement. You know, BlizzCon 2017, they announced Legion, Battle for Azeroth. We are now a year beyond that. We got Battle for Azeroth 10 months after... math is hard. Hang on. 9 months after they... 9.5 months after they announced Battle for Azeroth. That's a huge turnaround. To launch an expansion 9 months after they announce it, that's pretty big. So let's assume that 9.0 is announced next BlizzCon, which would be the 2-year mark for Battle for Azeroth, roughly. That means 9.0, whatever it may be, is a 2020 expansion, summer of 2020. So that means we are 2 years away from the next WoW expansion. That is a lot of time to destroy a city, to figure all out the problems with all the questing and stuff like that, to fix that like they did with Cataclysm. That would be huge. I don't know if it's going to happen. But on the eve of a patch, by changing Stormwind visually, for the sake of destroying it, you have a phased version and an unphased version. The undestroyed version for all your questing needs and auction house needs and capital city needs, and then the current version. And you could choose to go where and when. But then, 2 years from now, when they announce 9.0, when they drop it, Stormwind is gone forever. And the Alliance controls Silvermoon. With playable High Elves. Probably not. That is huge. I think that is really cool. I think that is probably not going to happen. In all honesty, I want Silvermoon Warfront to happen so bad. I want a Barons Warfront to happen so bad. The Ajara one, that'd be cool. Mekkatorques, or literally Mekkatorques. Wouldn't that be cool if his new name is Mecha Torque capitals, because he's a junker? No, Mekkatorques. Gets his revenge on Galliwix, blows up Galliwix's mountain. I fully expect a Void Old God patch somewhere, but what if Blizzard isn't lying? What if they're like, no, this is actually a faction expansion and everything is just faction based, and there's little teasers for 9.0? That would make us all look like liars, because the whole time we've been sitting here going, guys, it's a faction expansion, even though clearly there's a million tentacles in Kul Tiras and there's Old Gods minions everywhere in Zandalar, but it's just little cookie trail crumbs. It's just kind of like Legion. There's a lot to digest here, guys. Before we end this, I want to end with a couple more visuals I want to show off. By the way, I said last week, and I don't know if this was confirmed. Actually, hang on. This guy. Here we go. Alright, move over, King Anastarian. So, as we know with the Blood Elf, Heritage Armor quest, we actually get to see the fall of Quel'Thalas, the fall of the Sunwell. And which is really cool, because we get to learn what it means to be a Blood Elf and all this stuff. And we go back in time. So we're going to see Kael's dad. We're going to see, as Stannis said last week, Kael's 8-polygoned model with the shoulders that can poke your eye out. And this is Kael's dad. This is the king of the High Elves. Looking like an NPC that you can find in Xal'atath. And now, let me explain why he looks like this. This is King Anastarian Sunstrider's model from Wrath during the Quel'Dalar quest line. The plate set he's using, except for the shoulders, all comes from Sunwell. It's a very elven plate set. All the sets in Sunwell were designed with Blood Elves in mind, so that, it makes sense. And then the shoulders are NPC shoulders only. They look cool, but whatever. But he doesn't look like a king. And back then, in Wrath, patch after Burning Crusade, that was all they had. So that makes sense. But I thought, it's been many years. Does King Anastarian not deserve a better model? Does King Anastarian not deserve to look like a proper king? So here's my rendition. Now, Latest, you're right. If they made the armor a little bit HD, that'd be perfect. That'd be amazing. Give him a crown, that's more than I can ask. If they come out with HD Sunwell sets or HD reworks of the Sunwell sets for the Silvermoon Warfront, I'd be a-okay with that, because those look amazing. But I figured right now, in without, you know, they're not going to spend all this time touching up models for an outdated NPC in custom gear. So what if they just gave him pieces that look up to date? So we have here my rendition of King Anastarian Sunstrider with a, let's get rid of this abomination. Get out of here. And again, if you're listening to this and you can't see visuals, I apologize. Definitely look at the video, because like, I'm proud of this transmog. We have tier 21 Mythic and the PvP Alliance pieces from Argus. That set was made, tier 21 Paladin Argus was made with elves in mind. Blood elves, high elves, whatever. The different wing elements on the belt, on the boots, on the gloves, it is clearly elven. I didn't want to go for a solid set. If they gave him just a single tier set, that'd be cool too. I wouldn't mind that. So here we have some paladin-y shoulders. I'm unsure about the paladin shoulders. They don't look overly paladin. The wings kind of tied together, but I can't help but see like Uther paladin there. And then the Alliance Warfront. Wowhead wasn't showing the right model, but that's the Warfront Alliance. I wanted like the blue padding over top. And then we have an Alliance cloth helm as the crown, because he's a king. He should wear a crown. He's the king, he should wear a metal helm, but let's just assume he's being badass. And then, of course, the most important part of the transmog is the sword. This is forlorn from Argus, from Legion, using the upgraded sword model and the blue coloration. You might be like, why? This is not the original one. Well, keep in mind, the sword that you used in Legion as a fire mage was the remade version by Xal'atath. So it's a little bit, the blade's a little bit weirdly bent, and the colors are going to be different, right? Because Xal'atath changed the whole thing about Blood Elves. They were high elves. Blue and gold was their color. It's also an Alliance color, but blue and gold was a high elf color. King Anastarian decided to 1v1 Arthas, and unlike Sylvanas and do a power slide, he actually brought a weapon up to him, fought against Frostmourne, and while forlorn was a legendary rune blade, not in the same rune blade that Arthas has, but a different kind of rune blade, it wasn't enough, and forlorn shattered into a million pieces. Xal'atath then reforged it, and the thing about elven blades is every time you reforge it, it becomes more powerful. So reforged it and probably said, no, let's change the colors. Gold and blue's not working. Let's make it gold and red, because red is blood and blood is edgy, and blood elf sounds really cool. Which is why the default model for forlorn is different looking and different color as well. So I figured if the high elves are going to have blue and gold for their swords, for their entire culture, why not have the same thing here? So that's just my little nitpicking with transmog. This is current Anastarian in 8.1. This is my rendition. I hope Blizzard changes it into something. Not necessarily mine. Mine would be cool. But, you know, do something, Blizzard. Please. Got some other models here just to show you. Oh, no, that's Zappy Boy. No one cares. Alright. Alright. So this one's a little bit sad. So I mentioned last week that the Forsaken are raising Night Elves. And so here's our girl. Dalaran Summermoon. As a Dark Ranger. Not a Banshee, as I predicted, as a Dark Ranger. Along with leader of the Wardens. Not Maev, the other one. So I'm curious to see where this goes. It seems really weird to introduce so much about Dalaran in the pre-events to not expand further. I feel that Dalaran is going to be a... Whether you agree with me or not that Kalia should lead the Forsaken, one thing is for certain. There has to be eventual peace between the Alliance and Horde at some point. Probably by the end of the expansion, because Blizzard said this is the faction war of all faction wars, right? But if we're ever going to team up and go to threats beyond Azeroth, we need to work together. And the one person preventing that is a certain Banshee Queen, which makes things exciting. I'm happy she's War Chief. That's really cool. She's exciting. But There will never be peace between the Alliance and Horde unless someone else leads the Horde and the Forsaken. Now, you could just repeat everything that everyone else says. No one else can lead the Forsaken. Yes, there can be. And I wonder, not Delarin as leader, but Delarin as a general. That would be cool. The Alliance and Horde finally come to a peace. Sylvanas is overthrown, dead, whatever. I hope not dead. I want her story to go somewhere exciting. I don't want to just kill her like another Garrosh. But she can't lead the Horde. That much is for certain. So I'm hoping Delarin is a good Dark Ranger in the future. Because it is sad. Like, you know, if you haven't read the short story, it's online. It's called Elegy, and there's also one called Good War. Good War is all about Tsar Fang's plan. It's a good story. Good War is a good story. Elegy, I don't know. It's heartbreaking. It is actually heart-wrenching, and Delarin's final moments are so sad and so Sylvanas-like. So go read it, and then cry. There's Zappy Boy, looking like he's representing that classic model. Ugh. Guys, this is what awaits us in classic. Is this what you want? This is what Jalen Brack said. You think you do, but you don't. This is what he meant. Here's Sylvanas rocking an amazing set. I love... Legion had some really good elf sets. Tier 19 Mage, very elven. Tier 19 Hunter, very elven. I love this. If there was ever a high elven set, this is it. This is perfect high elven set. When I see an Alliance character wearing this, I'm like, yes. I fist pump. When I see a Blood Elf wearing the other colors, I get really excited. So this is Sylvanas. I'm kind of glad they didn't go with the regular helm, because the regular helm doesn't match. It makes her look spoopy. And the boots were really clunky, so they went with the Warfront leather boots, which was a surprise. A little bit off color, but it matches. It's good. I like it. It's a solid set. Good job, Blizzard. Here's a priest lady, and this priest lady is Lady Liadrin. I don't know if she'd be lady at this point, but she is a cleric. Wearing again, this is tier 19 mage set. The chest is, I believe, LFR color, and the gloves and belt are Sunwell priests, and the shoulders are Trial of Valor mage. Trial of Valor cloth alliance. Either way, this set, you can see the symbol of, that's what I'm looking for, Quel'Thalas. She's clearly a priest here. This is before her paladin days. And I thought that was cool. You know, see Liadrin before she became who she once was. This is a new transmog set coming in 8.1. It's called the Dark Ranger set. If you go to the Wowhead page where they announce this and you read all the comments, it's nothing but toxic and horrible awfulness. But considering we don't have a Dark Ranger set, I would have liked to see a unique Dark Ranger set, but what are they going to do? Make a whole custom Dark Ranger set for one small elite force? I suppose they could have made the male Forsaken armor look like a Dark Ranger, but I like the way they went better. The gothic vampire Gilnean look. I like that much better. So this one is the Warlord's leather set, and this is classified as male, and I think it looks pretty good. I think they took away the mask on the helm. And I think it fits. I think it looks blatantly chainmail and leatherish. I don't see what the big deal and why this looks bad. It looks like I have a love for practical armor that looks like it would properly protect you, and this looks like it would properly protect you. Maybe not in the face, but that's okay. An over the cloak shoulder would be cool, but this is what I think this is going to be obtainable. I don't know. There's no items found with it. It's just new model, new textures, new colors, and it's classified. I think the armor, I think the icon pieces said Dark Ranger _ male or something. So there are icons for it, which are interesting. Now there's a whole bunch of other stuff, guys, coming in 8.1. that you should go read about. Go read up on Taliesin and Evatil have a great video that covers not only all the 8.1 spoilers. By the way, they have a way to identify the spoilers in their video. It's got a little icon up in the right-hand corner, so when you're scrolling through, you can find which parts have spoilers, which parts don't. That'd be probably good to have on this kind of video, but the whole podcast is a spoiler. They cover all the 8.1 information, but also the recent Azerite armor response by community manager Lore. And I think a lot of people jumped on that hate train without actually knowing or reading the posts. So go read the posts, go read the context of the post, and then watch Taliesin break it down as to why it's not as bad as everyone seems. Being a community manager in today's day and age is probably one of the most difficult jobs like in the game. I want to say there's no easy job in the game development industry, but being a community manager, dealing with the toxicity on levels that he has to deal with, I mean, it could be worse. It could be the League community, but I mean, go watch Taliesin and Evatil's video from a couple days ago and make an opinion on yourself. You know, call Taliesin a Blizzard shill, as he says in the video, but he makes some good arguments. He makes some good arguments as to why it wasn't a horrible... People, and they could have watched Belly. I didn't watch. I'm 2 videos behind on Bellular's videos, but I think that watch both and make up your own opinion. Don't just blindly agree with YouTuber A or YouTuber B. Just go read the thread, watch the videos. You might say, I don't need to watch the videos for context. You're right. You may read the thread and have your own opinions, but watch the videos for outside context, for someone else to break it down, to maybe suggest something that you're not thinking of, because that's the difficult part about feedback and all of this, is when you rage and scream and slam your computer over angry things, you're not going to go, well, hang on, let me think of another example here. Let me try and see it from an outside perspective. Not many people do that when you're in a fit of rage. Someone says you're wrong, and your idea is bad and you're wrong. Your response is to go, roll up my short sleeves. This is a bad example. I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt. And defend yourself. You know? Depends on what your profession is. If you're a lawyer, you might try to look at it from the other side or be really good at defending yourself, but just try and see it from both sides. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to get involved. This is not my area of expertise, but I see so much salt and so much bitterness everywhere that I'm just like, holy shit, people, just breathe, just relax. Remember, the WoW team doesn't meet in the morning and say, how can we fuck over players today? I know! Fuck shamans for the 8th time this expansion. No, there is a thought process going there. There is something internally going on that we do not know, and I think it's extremely unfair just to assume that Blizzard is incompetent without actually looking at it as a whole picture. And Blizzard doesn't have a whole picture because they don't see everything we see, but it's reversed. We don't see everything that they see as well. So let's feedback goes both ways. Let's give feedback. Be firm. Blizzard, this is bad. Here's why, and not be an asshole about it. That's all I'm going to say on the topic before someone writes in the comments, oh, look at this Blizzard fanboy telling us how to think. You're right. I'm telling you, be logical and a nice human being. Right? That's all I got today, guys. A little bit of a shorter episode. Maybe boring because I'm by myself. Apologize if that's boring. Maybe that's better because it's no Stannis jokes today. No Jack wine. I should bring a wine. I should try to dress up as all my guests as one. No loud Shannon laughs or anything. But guys, this is all I got for today's episode 24 for Decoded. In the weeks to come, we got BlizzCon prep, BlizzCon hype, so why you should be excited for BlizzCon, and a kind of survival guide for BlizzCon if you're going, which may not be exciting for anyone who's not going to BlizzCon, but it's fun to listen to, because I got really excited. And then I'm going to have a separate episode on my predictions for BlizzCon, for all games, not just WoW. So that's coming soon, guys, because that is less than 4 podcasts away. 4 podcasts? Yeah, 4 podcasts away. So... And we might even do a Decoded episode live at BlizzCon, starring myself and Jeff and everyone else. All of BlizzCon in one. So, until then, guys, until later this week, in a couple days, will be episode 25. I haven't decided what it's on yet, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Maybe it'll be an Alliance story video. Maybe it'll be me talking about Culture Out, because I haven't done that yet. Or maybe not. Who knows? Until then, guys, thank you for joining us for episode 24 of Decoded. My name is Jesse, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.